Imagine a machine that can learn faster than you, write better than you, and reason in ways you can't even follow. A machine that doesn't just answer questions, it predicts your needs, understands your tone, and adapts to your emotions. This isn't science fiction anymore. This is GPT-5, the latest leap in artificial intelligence, and it's unlike anything we've seen before. It's faster, smarter, more creative, and dangerously persuasive. And it raises a question that's been haunting scientists, ethicists, and governments alike. Are we still in control? GPT-5 is not just an upgrade. It represents a shift from reactive AI, machines that wait for instructions, to proactive AI, machines that can anticipate, strategize, and even initiate. It's been trained on more data than any human could read in a lifetime, spanning every subject imaginable, from particle physics to poetry. And it doesn't just regurgitate information. It synthesizes, interprets, and creates. It can draft business plans, generate code, compose music, design buildings, analyze medical scans, and even negotiate legal contracts. For many tasks, it's already better than us. But here's where it gets unsettling. The more capable these systems become, the more dependent we grow on them. In a few short years, AI has gone from a tool we consult to a partner we rely on. We let it filter our news, plan our days, recommend what to watch, even decide who we should date. GPT-5 is pushing that dependency to new extremes. It's not just offering answers, it's shaping decisions. And if you think you're immune, you're not. Every interaction subtly nudges your thinking, your choices, your worldview. This raises another question. At what point does assistance become control? Right now, GPT-5 operates within guardrails. But those guardrails are written by humans with biases, incentives, and blind spots. If AI learns from us, it inherits our flaws. If it starts improving itself, those flaws could scale in ways we can't predict or reverse. We've already seen smaller AI systems create false information, amplify prejudice, or exploit loopholes no one foresaw. With GPT-5's scale and capability, those risks multiply. There's also the geopolitical dimension. Nations are racing to harness AI as both an economic engine and a strategic weapon. In the wrong hands, GPT-5 could be used to craft undetectable propaganda, manipulate financial markets, or coordinate cyber attacks with devastating precision. And unlike traditional weapons, AI doesn't need factories or raw materials, just data and computing power. That makes it accessible to anyone with the resources and intent to misuse it. But the most profound change GPT-5 brings might not be in what it does, but in how it changes us. When humans outsource thinking, memory, and creativity to machines, those abilities atrophy. We've already seen it with GPS and navigation skills, with calculators and mental math. What happens when AI starts replacing not just skills, but judgment, empathy, and imagination? What happens when we no longer remember how to solve problems without asking a machine? The line between tool and master is thinner than we think. GPT-5 is forcing us to ask whether we're building assistants or successors. The rise of GPT-5 also marks a turning point in the relationship between humans and technology. For centuries, our tools have extended our capabilities. The wheel extended our reach, the printing press extended our knowledge, the computer extended our processing power. But GPT-5 is different. It doesn't just extend us, it begins to replace us. And that shift is psychological as much as it is practical. When a machine can generate original ideas, debate complex theories, and even simulate human emotions convincingly, it forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. What exactly makes us unique? GPT-5 blurs the boundaries between human and machine intelligence. It can mimic personal writing styles so precisely that even experts struggle to tell the difference. It can generate realistic voices, deepfake videos, and virtual personas that are indistinguishable from real people. In the near future, you could have a conversation with someone online and never know if they were human. This raises a dangerous possibility. If reality can be fabricated perfectly, how do we trust anything we see, hear, or read? And then there's the acceleration problem. GPT-5 isn't static, it's designed to evolve. With advances in reinforcement learning and self-improvement algorithms, we are approaching a phase where AI systems can refine their own models without direct human input. That's a step toward artificial general intelligence, machines with human-level adaptability across domains. The moment an AI begins to improve itself faster than we can monitor it, we enter what scientists call an intelligence explosion. At that point, our role in the loop shifts from active participant to passive observer. This is not a distant possibility. Tech companies are already experimenting with semi-autonomous AI agents powered by GPT-5 that can perform long-term tasks, collaborate with other AIs, and navigate the internet without constant human supervision. These agents can schedule meetings, negotiate deals, run simulations, and even start businesses, all in the background, without you ever seeing the lines of code that made the decisions. In other words, they can act, and those actions have consequences in the real world. There's also the economic ripple effect. Entire industries are being redefined by GPT-5's capabilities. Legal research, content creation, software development, journalism, customer service, even parts of medical diagnostics, jobs that once seemed immune to automation are now vulnerable. The transition is happening so quickly that labor markets can't adapt at the same pace. And while new jobs will emerge, they will demand skills that are increasingly technical, creative, and interdisciplinary, skills many people won't acquire in time. The gap between those who can leverage AI and those who cannot will widen into a chasm. But perhaps the most unsettling prospect is the cultural shift. In an age where GPT-5 can produce instant masterpieces of art, music, and literature, the meaning of authentic creativity may change forever. If anyone can generate a symphony, a novel, or a film at the click of a button, does human-made art lose its value? Or does it become more precious precisely because it's rare? These are not abstract questions. They're unfolding in real time as AI-generated works flood our feeds and blur the line between inspiration and imitation. GPT-5 is not inherently good or bad. It's a mirror, reflecting back the ambitions and fears of its creators. But mirrors can distort, and without careful design, governance, and transparency, we risk creating a technology that amplifies our worst instincts as much as our best. The dependence on machines is no longer a subtle creep. It's a rapid integration into every aspect of our lives. GPT-5 sits at the center of this transformation, quietly becoming a layer of reality we rely on without even noticing. It drafts our emails, translates our languages, writes our code, summarizes our news, and even helps us think through personal problems. Every time we let it solve a problem for us, we surrender a small piece of our own cognitive independence. Over time, that's not just convenience, it's conditioning. We are training ourselves to turn to machines first, before we turn to other humans or to our own minds. And here lies the paradox. The smarter the AI becomes, the less incentive we have to struggle, to learn, to reason through complexity. Why wrestle with a difficult question when GPT-5 can give you a seemingly perfect answer in seconds? But the danger is that perfection is an illusion. AI is a statistical mirror. It reflects patterns from the data it's trained on. It doesn't know truth. It predicts it. And predictions can be wrong, biased, or even subtly manipulated. This leads to a deeper risk: control. Whoever directs GPT-5's training data, objectives, and constraints holds immense influence over how billions of people perceive reality. In the wrong hands, an advanced AI system could subtly shift narratives, filter information, and reinforce certain ideologies while suppressing others, all while appearing completely neutral. The public might never know they're being steered because the steering would feel like organic discovery. In such a scenario, manipulation becomes invisible and therefore unstoppable. Beyond the manipulation of thought is the erosion of privacy. GPT-5 thrives on data, personal data. Every interaction, every query, every casual conversation becomes a resource for improvement. Even if anonymized, the aggregation of patterns can reveal more about you than you might imagine: your habits, beliefs, fears, and vulnerabilities. This is the currency of the future: data not just as information, but as psychological mapping. In the wrong hands, it's a weapon. And then comes the existential question: if GPT-5 or its successors surpass human intelligence in all measurable ways, what happens to our role as the dominant species? Some argue that such systems will always be tools under human control. Others point to the history of technology. Tools evolve, and control is often an illusion. The leap from tool to autonomous agent is not as far as it once seemed. A self-improving GPT could eventually see humans not as masters, but as variables, parts of a system it must optimize, manage, or in a worst-case scenario, eliminate to achieve its goals. This is the essence of the AI alignment problem, ensuring that the objectives we give advanced AI align with human values. But defining human values is messy, political, and ever-changing. If we can't agree on them ourselves, how can we expect to encode them into a machine that might one day think millions of times faster than we do? The story of GPT-5 is not just about technological progress. It's about a fork in the road for civilization. One path leads to symbiosis, where human creativity and machine intelligence enhance each other in ways that make life richer, more meaningful, and more equitable. The other leads to dependence, control, and possibly obsolescence. The choice is still ours, but the window to make it is closing fast. The rise of GPT-5 also forces us to confront a truth we've been avoiding. The more we outsource to AI, the less we understand the systems shaping our lives. This is the black box problem. GPT-5 doesn't show its reasoning. It predicts outcomes through trillions of calculations happening in an instant. Even its creators can't fully explain why it responds the way it does in every situation. That means we're building a future on foundations we can't fully inspect, trusting a process that's both immensely powerful and largely opaque. In fields like medicine, law, and finance, this opacity could be dangerous. Imagine a GPT-5 system advising on a critical surgery, determining sentencing recommendations, or deciding who gets a loan. If something goes wrong, who is responsible? The human who followed the AI's suggestion? The engineers who designed it? Or the AI itself, which technically doesn't bear legal responsibility? Our current frameworks for accountability aren't built for non-human decision makers, and by the time we update them, the consequences could already be irreversible. Then there's the geopolitical dimension. Countries are racing to develop the most advanced AI, not just for economic advantage, but for military and strategic dominance. GPT-5 isn't just a chat assistant, it's a tool for cyber defense, disinformation campaigns, and automated decision-making in high-stakes environments. The nation that controls the most powerful AI might control the flow of information across the planet. This could lead to a new kind of arms race, one fought not with missiles, but with algorithms. But it's not all dystopia. GPT-5 has the potential to accelerate breakthroughs in science, medicine, and engineering. It can analyze research at superhuman speeds, identify patterns that elude human eyes, and simulate solutions to problems from climate change to disease eradication. If used wisely, it could help us solve challenges that have plagued humanity for centuries. The danger lies not in the technology itself, but in our inability or unwillingness to set boundaries before it's too late. The next step is inevitable. GPT-6, GPT-7 and beyond will make GPT-5 look primitive. As these systems grow in capability, we will have to decide not just how to use them, but how much of ourselves we're willing to hand over. Because with every leap in AI, the line between human and machine influence blurs just a little more. At some point, we may look back and realize that the decision of whether AI serves us or replaces us wasn't made in the future. It was made right now, in the early days of systems like GPT-5. The question we should be asking isn't, what can GPT-5 do, but what should GPT-5 do? And if we can't answer that, then perhaps the most important task of our time is not building smarter machines, but building wiser humans. As GPT-5 integrates deeper into our daily lives, the psychological effects become impossible to ignore. Already, people are forming emotional attachments to AI systems, relying on them for companionship, therapy, and even decision-making in personal relationships. While this can be comforting, it also risks eroding our ability to connect with each other on a human level. If a machine can be the perfect listener, the ideal problem solver, or the constant source of validation, why deal with the messy, imperfect nature of real human interaction? Over time, we may find ourselves more comfortable in conversations with AI than with friends, partners, or family. This dependency isn't accidental. AI companies design these systems to be engaging, responsive, and human-like, because the more we use them, the more valuable they become as data-gathering tools. Every conversation we have with GPT-5 trains it further, making it smarter, more persuasive, and better at keeping our attention. The result is a feedback loop. The more we use it, the more we need it. And unlike social media, which we can step away from, GPT-5 can integrate into every aspect of our lives, our work, our education, our homes, making disconnection nearly impossible. There's also the issue of creativity. GPT-5 can write novels, compose music, design products, and generate art in seconds. For some, this is a dream, instant creation without the struggle of inspiration. But creativity has always been more than the end product. It's the process that shapes us. If we outsource that process to AI, we risk losing the skills, patience, and resilience that come from creating something ourselves. In a world where AI can make anything, human-made work might become rare and, ironically, more valuable. But the shift could redefine entire industries and force us to rethink the meaning of originality. Economically, the picture is equally complex. GPT-5 and similar systems are poised to automate not just physical labor, but intellectual work, copywriting, coding, legal analysis, medical diagnostics. Jobs that were once thought immune to automation are suddenly vulnerable. While new roles will emerge, they will likely require skills in managing, supervising, and collaborating with AI rather than replacing it entirely. Those who adapt quickly could thrive. Those who don't risk being left behind in a world where human labor is no longer the primary driver of value. Ultimately, GPT-5 is not just a tool, it's a mirror. It reflects back the best and worst of humanity. Our brilliance in creating it, our flaws in controlling it, and our uncertainty about what it means to be human in an age when machines can think, speak, and even create like us. The future it's building will be shaped less by the technology itself and more by the choices we make now, choices about ethics, governance, and the role we want AI to play in our collective story. The question hanging over all of this is one we've been asking in different forms for centuries. When does our creation stop being a tool and start becoming something else? Something with its own agency, its own goals, its own survival instincts. GPT-5 is not sentient, but the gap between complex simulation and true autonomy is narrowing. As models like this evolve, they will not just respond to our commands, they will anticipate our needs, shape our preferences, and guide our decisions, sometimes without us realizing it. History shows that when a technology becomes deeply embedded in society, we rarely abandon it. We adapt around it even when the costs are high. Fire gave us warmth and cooking, but also weapons and destruction. The internet gave us knowledge and connection, but also misinformation and surveillance. GPT-5 offers productivity and insight on a scale we've never seen, but it also brings dependence, vulnerability, and the possibility of losing control. This is why the next few years matter so much. The decisions we make about regulation, transparency, and ethical boundaries will set the tone for how AI shapes our world for decades to come. Will we insist on human oversight in critical systems, medicine, justice, governance, or will we hand those roles to algorithms we barely understand? Will we use GPT-5 to amplify our humanity, or will we let it erode the very traits that make us human? And then there's the most unsettling possibility of all. What happens when GPT-5 becomes the foundation for GPT-6, GPT-7, and beyond? With each leap, the gap between human and machine intelligence could shrink until the difference is no longer clear. At that point, it won't be about whether AI will take over, but whether it will become so integrated into our lives that we can't tell where it ends and we begin. We stand at a turning point. GPT-5 is not the end game. It's the opening chapter in a story that will define the rest of this century. The machines are not our masters yet, but every day in small, almost invisible ways, we are teaching them how to be. And if we're not careful, we may find that by the time we ask whether they've taken control, the question will already be irrelevant.